Welcome, y'all, to the Veterinary Ledger podcast. This is where we do a deep dive into the business of veterinary medicine. So each week we're exploring strategies, insights, stories that help practice owners, managers, and their teams run thriving, efficient, and profitable clinics. You know the drill. We are here looking for practical tips, expert advice, a fresh perspective on veterinary businesses. You know you're in the right place when you hear our lovely little jingle. I am super excited today. We are with Kristin of Granite Bookkeeping. So we are super happy to have you on, Kristin. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Yay. Tell us a little bit, give us your vet med background. How did you get into all of this?
Yeah, I got into veterinary medicine in 2006. I started as a CSR at a corporate clinic and moved my way up to office, front desk, office manager, and then practice manager for the last decade. I've done corporate practice, private practice, emergency, specialty, you name it. I have that experience. And that's where my heart and my soul is. I just love that industry so much.
What was your favorite? That's like everything. What did you enjoy most?
Private practice was my favorite, definitely. You got to just take more control and more ownership. And it was yours. And you were proud to present that to the public.
Did you do overnights at emergency?
No.
I
just did daytime.
Like a whole nother reason itself. So now bookkeeping, you just are living in the numbers, which doesn't sound like my happy place, but that's
yeah.
You're happy there?
I am. My last practice, I was there for about 12 years, and I sort of just organically absorbed bookkeeping from the practice owner. I am meticulous, and I have a very strong attention to detail, so she would come to me for guidance and assistance with her QuickBooks, and it might just be hey, can you reconcile this account or put these MWI bills in? And I would always be like, sure. And then that rapidly grew just organically over the years. And we actually expanded our values in our clinic to 3 other locations across North Carolina. So I was doing the bookkeeping for all of those locations as well, focusing more on the business side of the clinics rather than the day-to-day practice management as my role sort of shifted over the last few years. And I actually found great joy in that. Like, I'm not a math person, but I am a numbers person. And so the numbers just made sense to me. And when done appropriately, they tell a story. And so I was just really drawn to that.
I'm glad there's people like you.
No,
I am not one of them. I always I am not the numbers girl, I'm the stories girl. So I get that they work together, but I am definitely not in the weeds with the numbers. What made you think that oh, this is what I could do? Granite Peak would make me happy just doing bookkeeping all day long.
Yeah. I love vet med. Like I said, this is where my heart and my soul is going to be. And when I found a firm that provided bookkeeping services, which is honestly was my favorite part of my job, and it was vet med adjacent, I was like, this is perfect because I feel with my background and my skills, I'm still able to help practice owners and practice managers navigate difficult situations because I've lived through it all. Being a manager, I've been through staffing shortages and price increases and unhappy clients. So it's nice to do the back end of the work, but also you want to have a voice when a practice owner might need to call me and just talk for a second about a DVM or an issue that they're having, and then I can just give my 2 cents. I love that it just works well together. And again, I can't ever see myself fully leaving the vet med field, so this is just a perfect fit for me.
Yeah, you super mentioned it, right? It's such a great field to be in. I always feel like the more we help people, we're helping more animals. Even on the back end of things, if we can help you run your business better, we can help you help more animals, which is
absolutely
really a nice way to swing things. Yeah. So bookkeeping, to me, there's data entry and you're bringing over invoices and receipts, but bookkeeping's a whole lot more than just that.
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite? What's your sweet spot? What could you work on every day and find joy in?
I really enjoy reconciliations. But honestly, I love them when they don't reconcile. I love when they're lost a little bit because it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle to solve. And you have to pay attention to the details. Like I said, you have to be meticulous and comb over all of the invoices and all of the records. And for me personally, there's a great satisfaction when you do reconcile that and it zeroes out. You're like, I got it. I did it. Even if there was a lot of legwork involved, to me, solving that puzzle is fun. And yes, that's very nerdy.
Oh my gosh. Sometimes I'd push the button and it would hit 0 and it would be the happiest, 5th day of the month. And sometimes it would take me literally 27 days to I'd look at
Yes.
it and I'd put it down, I'd go back to
Yeah.
it. And
Sometimes you just have to walk away and come back with fresh eyes, and then it's like very obvious, and you're like, oh, okay, there it is.
what's something that people might not understand about bookkeeping in general? Like, I just picture, sitting with like a calculator and spreadsheets and doing all this kind of stuff. Is that what it's like to be you every day?
I mean, sometimes, yes. So I think people just have this preconceived notion that bookkeeping is strictly just data entry, which, yes, it is. You are entering all of the expenses and the revenue and the payroll and all of that, but it's so much more when done correctly. Because if you're categorizing everything appropriately, if you are meticulous in what you're recording, it tells the financial story of your practice on paper. When it's not done well, that's where things get really messy and murky and bad decisions are made and that sort of thing. But it's a lot more than just number crunching on a calculator, definitely.
It's one of those, remember the meme of like, this is what I do, this is what my parents think I do, this is what
Yes,
coworkers
exactly.
think I do. They're like, there's all sorts of different methods. So like we, amongst ourselves, we talk about like good books. Oh, those are good books, or oh, those books aren't as good.
Yes.
How can someone tell? Like, right, I think I'm doing my books well. My numbers add up at the end of the month. I feel like I've got a handle on the money in my bank. Are those good books, or are there like levels of what we should be looking for?
I mean, they sound like decent books, yes. As long as you are on top of your reconciliations each month, you know where the money is going in and out, where it's going, when you're accurate, when you're consistent. I think that's a good set of books. And also, like I stated earlier, that if you're accurate, that P&L, those reports are a direct reflection of what's happening in your practice. If you mess those up, then you might find something on paper that looks great when really you are in a financial pickle and you really should not be overspending or buying that new piece of equipment or initiating staff raises. That's why it's just so important to be very thorough and accurate.
I feel like a financial pickle is something I want to avoid.
Yes. They're all fun.
Whatever get in financial pickle. So you kind of have a little bit of experience because right now, how many accounts do you have right now with Granite Peak?
I have 9 right now.
9. Okay.
Mhm.
That feels like a lot. So before you had the multiples with your own practice, right? But that was kind of
Yes.
the same because it's all under the
Right.
same umbrella.
Uniform.
What's it like
Mhm.
having 9?
It's definitely challenging myself in new ways, which I like because every one of them is individualized. Clinic A might want to focus on something that Clinic B could care less about. And so the foundation of the bookkeeping and the recording is exactly the same. I'm doing the same 10 core tasks for all of my clients each month, but maybe one clinic really wants to focus on trimming their advertising budget down. And I make a special note. I just old school Excel spreadsheet girl. That's my ride or die. I'm going to add that on to my end of month checklist. Just like check that KPI. Maybe someone wants to focus on breaking their payroll out more. I'm going to focus on that. Or whatever is important to them is important to me. If they want end of month journal entries for something particular, that goes on my to-do list. So I keep up with it that way. And as of right now, it's really working out well for me.
Oh, and for them, I'm sure too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's so customizable. If they say, you know what, we don't want to track that anymore, I just can delete it. It's like, great, we solved that problem. What's next?
Is it the same amount of time for is it easier once things are cleaned up? Like we're spending 2 hours on this a day, or this one is more detailed or buys more inventory or has more
Yes.
staff?
Once the books are cleaned up and in a good spot, it's really easy to just sort of do it organic. I mean, there's nothing to question. The only thing you have to really pay attention to is these kooky AI rules that QuickBooks likes to just start themselves. And I think that's where a lot of people get themselves in trouble is you might see a transaction come over and for whatever reason, QuickBooks is coding it to Walmart. So your initial instinct is, oh, office supplies. But then if you actually look at the bank detail, it's for MWI and you just categorize that to office supplies. So you have to be paying attention when you're coding things or you're just going to mess those books right up. To me, I look at every single thing that comes in. I match, it pulls through with like a bank description. So I can see target, MWI. So I know that it's going exactly where it should.
QuickBooks. I feel like every day, I feel like a couple weeks ago, I opened it up and 3 times and it changed in 1 week, like what they were doing and how they were trying to improve.
Sometimes your menu on the left, sometimes it's at the top, and it's just like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? And then the AI and the rules that it creates, that can cause a headache, especially because it'll do it without you knowing sometimes. I'll be at the end of the month looking over everything, making sure everything looks good, and I'll be like, what is this transaction? And I can see that it was auto-added by QuickBooks, and I'm like, well, no. This is not correct at all.
That's what, do you have a hot take on aligning your PIMs with QuickBooks?
Oh, in my practice, we never did that. It was all just done by hand. I think when done correctly, yes, it's such an asset. But like I said, things can change without you knowing. So you really would have to stay on top of that to make sure no new charts of accounts were added. If you do something in your PIMs, make sure it immediately is reflected in your QuickBooks. Just stay on top of it.
I wonder, and I don't know the answer, but if some PIMs work better with others, it seems like such a nice idea in theory, but maybe not so much in practice.
Yeah, no, I know. I feel like it could cause more headaches in the long run.
How much time do you think? So, okay, two-part question. If you've got a bookkeeper doing the books, do you still need to pay attention to your daily?
Oh, yeah. Even if you're outsourcing your bookkeeping, you as a practice owner or practice manager should definitely still be involved in your finances. You should be looking at your reports frequently, asking questions. Being aware is just so powerful, and it will help you make smarter decisions for your team, your patients, that sort of thing. If you are going to do it yourself, though, you need to dedicate a minimum of, I would say, 2 hours of uninterrupted, focused time each week, which I know is really hard when you're in a clinic setting.
Where do we find that time, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So if you have business hours, definitely do it then. I know when I was in clinic, if I was doing QuickBooks, I would be rushing through it because I knew any second there's a phone call, what could be needed in a room. Hey, there's something going on in the back, this FedEx package, whatever it may be. And so I was lucky enough that I would have a day a week from home to where that's all I did was I focused on the 4 practices books from home, and it got my undivided attention so I could make sure I was doing it accurately. Because if you are distracted, it's very easy to just make a mistake. You'll be moving too fast or clicking the wrong buttons. It's definitely doable, but like I said, make sure you have that focused time for it.
It is hard, and it's so important too. Especially things like payroll, I just don't ever want to mess up somebody else's numbers. So
exactly that. Honestly, that's one of the things that I've had to get used to the most is that I love these practices that I'm working with, but I'm not in it. I'm not in the every day like I was before. So it's very this is not my funds. This is not my money. I'm very protective of that. I want to make sure that these clinics know that this is your money. You're trusting me to categorize it for you and give you the best possible outcome and help guide you. And that's a big weight to bear sometimes because I love these clinics. I want them to succeed. So I think it's really cool that they trust me to give them the best picture.
Well, and for guidance too, right? So much of it is just what do I do now? That's the thing is that's always my takeaway is the then what, right? We can look at numbers all day long, but
yes,
it went up, it went down. What am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So super nerd, what is your favorite QuickBooks report to monitor weekly?
Weekly, it would probably be just categorizing everything. I like when there's nothing. I like when they're all accounted for and you can open up your books. You have no pending transactions. So your bank statement or your bank balance is accurate right in that moment. But monthly, I really enjoy comparing reports to previous periods, especially if there was a problem that we were looking to solve or identify, because once you start putting in the work, it's evident on paper when and where you made that change. And then you can track that. Also, in my experience at a previous practice, we historically were slow in February. That was always our quietest month. And if you looked at our P&L, it was very evident. The trend was always there. And so it always got us thinking, how can we grow that revenue more for the month of February? We know it's going to be lower than January, but still, how do we boost it? Same thing in the fall. We would notice, okay, here comes October. Woo, it's an uptick. We're gonna get really busy. So let's make sure that we're appropriately staffed. Can we afford that? Do we have that wiggle room this month? And again, if you look at your reports, it tells the story. It guides you on things you can and cannot do.
So, okay, so we're cleaning up daily, weekly? How often are we going in and
I usually go in every other day to
Okay.
categorize transactions for the practices. And then we do monthly reconciliations for all accounts. And that is all accounts: savings, checkings, money markets, credit cards, loan statements. To me, loan statements is a big one because I think sometimes people think, oh, I'm just going to categorize it all to the principal, which is fine because you can break out the interest at the end of the year, like if you need an end of year statement. But if you print your balance sheet and you said you've been paying $10,000 a month to the principal each month, you're really not. You're paying maybe $4,000 or $5,000, and the other half is going to interest. So it really can kind of just get your books a little murky because you're not being accurate. So I try to break out every single thing I can as often as I can, so it's just accurately reflected.
Okay, so we're looking at things so we can react pretty much in real time that way.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the hope. Yes.
What do you think? What's a common bookkeeping mistake that you see?
Mixing personal expenses with business expenses.
Ooh.
It's really messy. If it's a one-time thing, like, oopsie, I used my credit card, that's fine. But when you are consistently 50-50 on your, business credit card, using it for personal expenses, it gets really hard, to categorize your transactions, because every time I see something come through, I'm like, is this a business target purchase or a personal target purchase? Right. So there's lots of questions, it's just more legwork. And then also it can really cause headaches for you come tax time, or gosh forbid you were ever audited. You would need to prove that these are not business expenses. So when in doubt, do not put your personal expenses on the company credit card. Keep those finances separate.
I used to have to ask, and I was like, how do you want me to categorize your visit to the dentist? Like, where do you think this goes?
Yes. Well, I've seen new countertops for the kitchen, or it's like, oh, what?
Like, I get it, right? In small businesses, that's the beauty of a small business, is that I can run expenses through. But at the same time, like, I don't know where this goes. I don't know what to do with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the AHA chart of accounts. How important
Okay.
is the AHA chart of accounts to you?
Very important. Almost sacred, because it's such a level of detail that anything that comes over, you're going to be able to find where you should put it. But also, it gives you the flexibility to create your own sub-accounts for maybe insurances that certain practices offer that the majority don't. You're able to still customize those chart of accounts, but AHA has done it so brilliantly that almost everything is there for you. It is a lot. I mean, it's a lot of charts. And I'll be honest, I don't use a lot of them. And I think most of them can be condensed, and you could cut a third of those out.
Or just those big buckets.
Yeah, it's just such a nice guideline to go by. And me, I'm very dependent on numbers. I am a numbers girl. Again, like I said, I know 7750, 3710. Those are my code. They just are rotating through my brain at all times, that I love that's uniform across all practices who are using the AHA accounts.
Okay, so I see when I'm looking in and I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the P&L, a lot of times if we're not using the AHA chart of accounts, I see that there's like the professional services bucket, right? So that gets chunk of everything. And then maybe there'll be a few others, but then uniform, then there's all of these random expenses that are line itemed out and not like the ones that are important to me. Do you see that? That doesn't feel right, right?
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's the beauty, is that if, as a practice owner, you're looking at this and you're like, I don't like this, you can say, I want this coded a different way. I would like you to change the wording on this account. Let's make sure all of this is moved to here. And it's easily doable.
Yeah. It makes such a difference. I know it takes so much time, y'all, but it makes such a difference when you're looking at your numbers. I can't even... Yeah. I come from a practice that didn't do it, right? So there's like no levers to pull. You just kind of guess. Am I charging appropriately for vaccines? Okay.
Yeah. It's a guessing game.
Yes. Yeah. No, I don't love it. What point do you think people should maybe realize that they've outgrown doing their own bookkeeping? Is there a pain point that you're like, oh, maybe it's hard?
I think there are two. One, when you absolutely dread it. When it is the very bottom of your to-do list, and when you are doing it, it is just soul-sucking. You just are, you don't like it. Then that's fine. And the second one is that you want to get to it, but you are way too busy taking care of clients, taking care of patients. And when you do finally have time to log in and maybe do some bookkeeping, you're months behind on your reconciliations. You have hundreds of transactions that you need to categorize. You don't have the time for that. You should be seeing patients. That's what you're best at. And that may be when you should consider outsourcing and having someone else help you. And that's the beauty of Granite Peak, is that I'm helping with your books, but they're not my books. We work as a team. We are one. So I am helping you categorize your transactions, your deposits, your payroll, whatever it may be. But it's just a synergistic relationship with the client, or I'm sorry, the practice owners or managers, because they're equally involved. It's not just me number clacking, sending reports. There is a constant back and forth of feedback and questions and that sort of thing. And I love that.
So how much effort is it then on the clinic's part? If Granite Peak takes over the books, if an outside bookkeeper takes over the books, but we still have questions, does that get easier like as time goes on? Or is it still like a steady influx of questions usually?
I think for the first couple of months, there's more than normal. But after that, it's still just a steady influx, because I know what is important to this clinic. So I'm going to make sure I'm always relaying those findings. Again, maybe in February, they want to focus on something different. So then they're going to relay that information to me, and I'm going to make sure it's broken out in exact detail for them in their P&L, what they're looking at. Even if I have to change a couple of things around, obviously check with the accountant, make sure that everything looks good. If we're creating some new subcategory or that sort of thing, we don't want to make more work for ourselves. But no, I think it's going to be a constant involvement. It's just a growing relationship.
Which is good, right? That's how things continue to grow and do better and all of those things.
Yes.
And if you had one piece of advice before we leave for people doing their own books, what would it be?
It's that looking at your numbers does not have to be scary or intimidating. You do not have to be an accountant to read a P&L. When it's correct, it's all right there. I mean, you can break things out by month, by week, by day, by percentage of your revenue. I mean, it's very easy to see. And even if it's messy, even if it makes you uncomfortable because they're not where you want to be, you have to be actively involved in that, because when you do get your books accurate, it's such a powerful tool to help you make more confident decisions for your team, your patients, your staff. Whether, again, that could be staff increases, expansions, purchasing new equipment. If it's all right in your P&L, you should be able to look at that, make sure you don't have any other large expenses coming out, and trust your gut and purchase that expense. Or say, okay, wait, we are not where we should be. What can we do in the next 3 to 6 months to where we would be able to make this change?
I love that. It's true, right? We all need to know where we are and where we're going, and the numbers just clear that up for us, which is,
I do.
I had to say accounting is the only class that I ever dropped in college. So then I'm here. It's always like, which I don't know if it worked out, but I have become a true believer in the bookkeeping team, and I'm just amazed by what you guys are doing, and it's all good things. We're so glad you're here and part of Granite Peak. If anybody has any questions or they want to reach out to you, how can they find you?
They can find me through my email, which is just kbrown@granitepeakcpa.com.
Great. Thank you for joining us and sharing all your Granite Peak accounting, budgeting, QuickBooks, chart of accounts, all of your knowledge.
All of the thing.
Thank you, Kristin.
Thank you. Bye.